What's up, everybody? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody's here. Everybody's here for this episode. What an auspicious day. And you know what? It's not just that everybody's here for the latest episode of the Crane Kick Selects podcast. I get to do okay. Kyle, say the line. Say the line, Kyle.
I don't know what line you're referring to.
I just hope it starts with I.
I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend.
Oh.
I had a good weekend myself.
We're getting there.
Hey, you bring this up. Okay, I did a half marathon. Fine. All right.
Yeah, he said the thing. He said the thing. I've been waiting all day for this.
So Louisville, they branded it as the mini marathon, and someone asked me like, doesn't that sound worse than half marathon? And I was like, well, I didn't think about it until now, but yeah, I guess it kind of does. It's like a little mini race, it's just just a tiny little 13.1, and then that's it.
Yeah, all of them need to be rebranded though. Now, forevermore, it needs to be mini marathons. I like the alliteration of it, mini marathon. There we go. Yeah, Kyle ran a half marathon. Do you beat a record for yourself or about on par?
I did set a record. That's the good. I set a PR. That's the good thing about not doing a lot of these is that there's a good chance you're going to PR. That was only my fourth one I've ever done. So as much as you talk about it, Tyler, you'd think I do these every weekend, but
I mean, I just 4 half marathons. That's still a lot of half marathons.
4 more than I've done.
I've only ever done 1.
Whoa, geez. So that was kind of like a humble brag. Dylan, how many have you done? Are you with me?
Yeah, I've not done any.
I was getting worried for a second. I was like, crap, I'm going to have to go sign up for one now. I want to be the only one with that one.
A Crane Kick Selects mini marathon.
Yes. The good news is we have like a half marathon for everybody here if we're like averaging it out. So we're fine. Dylan, you and I are safe. We don't have to do anything. We'll just let them do the work for us. But no, it's cool to have everybody together. It's exciting. I love it because schedules are crazy. But now we get to talk soccer and just dive right in. The good, the bad, the sad, the mild. I don't know. Whatever you want to qualify it with. I especially just kind of want to talk about something real quick, though. Coming off of this weekend, it was a really cool thing to see the youth soccer clinic that Lexington Sporting Club put on. It's the second one they've done. The first one, so Jessica, our kids went to the first one, and they were one of like 15 kids.
12,
that was
15,
it.
yeah. Not many.
Tops. Like 15 was generous, but like it was also freezing. And
it was very cold.
Yeah, first one ever. The second one, granted, it was also kind of cold, but not as cold as the first one. And I'm sure they thought that it was going to be great weather. They're like, yes, late April, we got this. It's going to be amazing. But despite that, there were a ton of kids. What would you think? Like maybe like 70 plus there?
Well, they said the first 40 that signed up got to do the halftime scrimmage. And so there were a lot of kids that didn't. I heard they sold out of it. Because I have some friends that said they knew someone that went to sign up and they had sold out. So That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I'd say at least 75 maybe.
Yeah, I know they were like moving so much that I was like, I can't get a count. What's happening right here? But it looked, working a school, I see like large groups of children. It looked like a 70-ish number or something. Somewhere it was definitely more than 40, like you said. Very, very cool to see, especially considering the weather. It wasn't like horrible, but it was pretty chilly. Not necessarily like the number one day you would think to be like, I'm gonna go play some. It also probably helped that it's in soccer season, so I'm sure plenty of kids had come from games like our kids did, and they were just like, let's just go for it. But it was super neat, especially to see all these coaches out there that were working with them that you see on these posts for like the U20 team or for like our girls teams that are having a lot of success and them taking time out of their day working with all these kids of various age groups and then them getting to go on the field at halftime and play some scrimmages. I know that was just a really cool thing for them. And, the club is talking about doing more. I hope they do, and I hope more people come out because I think it's just a really cool way to just let your kids get involved and have something extra besides Kona Ice.
Well, yeah, for sure.
You got to have Kona Ice.
I think my only wish is that it would have ended as the gates were opening because I feel like there was a pretty quick turnaround between when the clinic was done and getting into the gate. Because, I know my son was like, oh, I won't get to play on the bounce house as much or whatever. We're like, but you're getting to do yeah. But anyway, like he wanted to do the fun stuff too. So I think and also missed out on the posters for the first 250. I thought I was getting us to hook up with posters, and then I don't know what happened there. But anyway, but they did get a T-shirt, and they used that as their autographs at the end. To get the players assigned, so they enjoyed that. And fun fact, as I was listening to the women's game or watching the women's game earlier, I heard the commentators mention how LSC is the only team in the USL that has they have like all the way from the youth to professional league. Like we're the only ones that do that, go all the way from youth to professional. So I think that's really cool.
Pathway to pro.
There you
Consecutive pathway. I love it.
Yeah. So it's just clear that they're investing a lot in the community and the kids. And so, yeah, I think it's awesome. And my kids love it too. So
yes, I know. My son was all about it, and he's already been like, maybe we'll try out for the club team. And I was like, let's pump the brakes. Let's just make sure we're we're all about it. Cause this is his first season back to playing after like taking a little bit of hiatus, minus his like indoor that he did. But I was like, let's just make sure we're fully invested before we worry about tryouts and stuff. But I believe in you. You could totally do it. And he's like, I'm ready. And I'm like, oh yeah, I believe you, man. Totally. And he's like, no, you don't understand, Father. I'm ready. But anyway, it's cool. And you love to have those opportunities for your kids because you want more and more options for your kids to be able to play a sport that they love. And I hope they keep doing those clinics. It's really a good testament to what they're trying to do, and getting kids out there and interacting and having fun is the best. But I agree with you. A little bit more time. My son was like, Kona Ice, can we go get some? And I'm like, you're going to have to wait for your tiger's blood until halftime, dude. And like, I need my tiger's blood now. I get it. But it was a good time. So hopefully more in the future is what we're getting at. Before we get into games, let's just talk about a couple of pieces of news. So first one makes me sad, makes me real sad. Like just okay. So everybody that listens probably is aware that we had Lucas Stauffer on here for an interview not long ago. And then out of nowhere, he disappears and reappears in Tulsa. So him and the club mutually agree to part ways, and now he's there. I know, but I mean, still stands. It was great having him on. He was a super cool guy. I hope he does amazing things in Tulsa, and I understand he, wasn't necessarily getting featured a whole lot here whenever he is a starting caliber player. So at the end of the day, I can't really blame him. I don't know. Do we have any particular feelings or thoughts on old Luke heading out west?
Well, I think the streets are saying that Crane Kicks Lex is like the kiss of death for players, So
but we just lost us our next interview.
Yeah.
He was like, never mind, cancel.
But we had Shay and Maddie, and they're still here. So
it's true. And they're rocking it still, even through it all. So we'll say not yet,
quite.
Yes. And to be fair, I had like Kalen Fox is my first interview ever, and he was here for 2 years with us. Nico was pretty early on, and he was here. So let's not go kiss of death in this right now. Okay. Maybe it's just like a wave,
and not
a wave
causation.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm just getting out in front of it,
Yeah. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Dylan didn't say it. He said the people were saying it. So.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
right.
I never heard Dylan say it.
To the streets, in fact.
Yeah. Quote streets.
I mean, it's really
saying.
true.
Yeah.
Slanderous. I'm like super bummed though, because I don't know. I can't remember what you guys had, because this was ages ago at this point. But I remember I predicted that he would be in our starting 11 whenever we were doing like our preview show. And then it just never came to pass. And I still truly believe, I'm not just saying that because he came on and I'm like, oh, Luke is now my best friend. Like, I do believe that he had a lot to offer us. And I don't know that we saw all of it. So that's what makes this a little bit more bitter. Is it's like, oh, if we maybe just kind of tested it a little bit more. And I know we got a couple of chances in USOC, but it wasn't like chances with our normal starting 11 that has kind of been established. So there are like some question marks in my head, like what if he had been deployed in that? What would he have done? And this isn't saying, I'm unhappy with who's starting in the positions he can play. I think the people there are ballers, and it is a tough spot to be in, whenever you're competing with each other and everybody is doing great and everybody has a lot to offer. But it still is like, oh man, what could have been,
Yeah, I'm with you, Tyler. I'm pretty like upset about this, right? I had him in my starting lineup, prior to the season. I still think he could be a starter in our squad for sure. I think he's super talented, and I think he put a lot of hustle and effort out there for us. And it was really cool just like having a Kentucky guy on the field for us as well. I thought that meant a lot to people. And I think what's going to be crazy is I feel like Tulsa is going to play him. Like, I think he's going to get a lot of minutes.
I mean, he already even appeared for him.
Yeah,
exactly. Right out of the gate.
Exactly. And
Wild.
I think he's going to tear it up for them and just be super awesome. I just don't understand the move at all. Like, I obviously for him, he wants to go to get playing time. That's the indication, it seems, right? Just from the optics of it, right? And he's clearly valued that high, so why don't we value him that high as well? I don't understand. There's a big disconnect right now,
Totally agree.
Yeah, there's something that's going on. Like, obviously, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, or on the training ground or whatever. But it is kind of odd to have someone that, and not that he was necessarily the first signing of this new wave, but he was the first announced signing of the Terry Boss era, and there was that whole Kentucky connection, like Dylan said, and it just seemed like a perfect match in a lot of ways. Super sharp guy. If you listen to our interview with him, just a fantastic personality to talk to. And so I don't know if maybe, there was just some butting of heads, a difference in opinion on how he should be deployed. Clearly, from his point of view, not to put words in his mouth, but probably that, deserves some more playing time, some more looks. Yeah, it is a bummer. I feel like, this club, and to be fair, these things can happen at any club, really, but it just seems like there are a lot of starts and stops with this club for a lot of things, and one of them that seems to be a trend is in personnel, where it's like as soon as we get hyped up for someone or on board with someone, it's like the rug's pulled out and it's like psych. So definitely a bummer, and it's just very odd considering he was brought in this season, not like a holdover player that you could at least, I know there's players that are either on loan or back with the team that we haven't seen, and you kind of can get it because it's like, well, new coach, new management, etc. But it's a bummer. I'm glad we got to have a chance to at least chat with him, and he deserves a starting spot somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's the issue, especially seeing what's happened in this situation with Stauffer. Do you think there's other players, because we talk about how we have such a deep roster, but do you think there might potentially be other players that are like, hey, I'm not getting the play time that I thought I was going to get, and we have either MLS or championship level, or maybe not, they weren't getting the minutes they were in the MLS or MLS2, whatever it was, championship level players that may not be getting the minutes they're wanting. Do you think there's potential of that happening more?
I feel like that's something you run into with any team whenever you have high level players. Depth is great until it's not, because sometimes whenever you have players that you're like, I could literally deploy you and you would be a like for like. Sometimes that ends up putting somebody on the outs. They get frozen out a little bit. And as a player, like with any sport, as an athlete, you start thinking my time to truly hit my stride and make a name and do the things I want to do is pretty limited. You know what I mean? It's like some other careers you could be like, yeah, whatever. I have until I'm like 55, 60, and things will come, accolades will get here, I'll get raises and promotions. But as a player, you're like, okay, well, we're talking like probably mid 30s. Once I'm looking at Tyler and I'm like, yeah, we're the same age, I'm probably retiring. But like truly you have to wonder, with players, how many are thinking, could I be making an impact? And if I'm not going to be making an impact here, should I be making an impact elsewhere? And hopefully that's not the case. I really like the people that we have, and I think we have a lot of players that have ingratiated themselves with fans, at least through their performances on the field. And I hope that we can stem the flow of that. And this is just kind of like a one-off thing, but you never know. You never know in the league. It happens to teams all the time. And, I think, now that we're at a higher level, we're not going to be immune to it. I think if anything, it's maybe going to be more common in some ways. I just hope not.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good thought. So anyway, Luke, I don't know if Luke's listening. I've heard that he's listened in the past, and maybe he's listening because we had him on. But hopefully everything goes amazing in Tulsa. Hope you tear it up, man. I just hope maybe, the
Not
weekend that you have to face
against
us,
us.
you're like, I'm not feeling super great. I've got turf toe. I'm going to just probably need to take the day off. And you can come sit with us in the stands or something, and we'll hang out. I'll buy you a beer or something. So anyway, good luck, Luke. Let's flip the coin here because club hasn't announced this, but it's out there. Like Real Salt Lake has posted it on their socials, on their website, everything. Anybody who went to the season ticket holder event at the beginning of the season, like right at the start when we got to go to the suites and meet Terry Boss and go on the locker room tour, you probably saw his name on a locker if you were like doing as many were and kind of being like, whoa, what's that name? Why is that name there? What's up with that? So Forster Ajago plays for Real Salt Lake. He actually used to play for Nashville SC, both MLS teams, right? If you're unfamiliar, we seemed to be having him around in preseason. Then he disappeared, like out of nowhere, and we never heard from him again. Well, Real Salt Lake is saying that he is now on loan with us throughout the season. So another striker is coming our way, according to Real Salt Lake and their Instagram and their website. So with this new player, he's another guy that, like, I don't know, when I watch him play, in a lot of ways, he kind of reminds me of Corey Burke, but he's really young. He's like 23. So not saying Corey Burke's old. No, it's not going there. But I'm just saying I feel like he's also another very like aggressive attacker that's really great at the press and very instinctual and can really turn on like the afterburners when he needs to get that like little last sprint towards goal to beat a defender, beat a goalie. Watching a lot of his highlights and plays that he's done over the last few seasons, seems like a really exciting striker option for us. With him coming this way, us having another striker piece, and we'll probably get into this a little bit in the episode, but having somebody else that can potentially produce goals for us, how are we feeling? Do we feel like we were kind of like, all right, where we were is fine, we just needed to kind of find a way to clean things up, or we all on board? Another striker, let's see what happens.
I just want us to score goals.
Story of our life. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. What, in the last 5 games, we scored 1, which is not a great ratio. Not a great ratio at all.
I'm like weird about the signing, right? Like, I think he is an exciting addition. I think he is really talented, and I think he could be really good for us, right? But like, we just got rid of Lucas Stauffer, excuse me, and I thought he was a really good player too. And so I'm just like, the turnover and the adding of people in the middle of the season when we're already going, and like it's too much to handle with everything right now. Like, I knew they valued Atadukin really highly already, and then it took them a while to get him, and then finally he's in there for us, and then he's playing like right away, like he got that full game in. So I don't know, like there's just a lot of moving pieces right now. So like out of 10, I say like I'm like a 7 because it's exciting signing.
Like,
He's a good
what's the
player.
catch? Are
Yeah,
you thinking because of that, like the
yeah,
monkey's paw scenario, you're wondering like when's the finger going to curl?
yeah. When's the
That's
other shoe gonna drop?
yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I think obviously, if you look at it just a player, I think it's a great addition, especially considering the fact that we thought he might be with the team earlier. And
Yeah,
and to Dylan's point, it's just the inconsistency for me that it's just like, or the lack of stability, I guess would be a way to put it. Like if you're always just turning over these important pieces of your roster, um, I think this club really looks at roster building on like a week to week type of time frame, which is a little scary. And
Yeah,
I mean, I've never run a soccer team, or
I don't even run my like FIFA team like that, my career mode
yeah,
like that. I
yeah, no, yeah. You get a player, you're like, well, I'll play a couple matches with him at least. Like it's,
yeah,
um, I have some. I think they really dissect this team like no joke on a week to week or maybe every other week basis, trying to tinker. And you always want the powers that be to have the best interest of the club and the fans, and like trying to get 3 points every time out. I get that, but like I feel like a consistent theme on this podcast and something that the club has kind of forced us all to talk about all the time is that chemistry and building the core and trying to find something that can remain for longer than a month at a time or something. And the first season everything was fine. We weren't really winning matches, but it was like fun and new and exciting. The second season, it was injuries every other week. It felt like was dragging
yeah,
us. Um, and then this season, it's like I think we're going to get to the end of it, and we'll have had 40 guys who have suited up at some point in the season for this club. Like it's ridiculous. Like it's just seems like there's so much turnover, and you want to see a little bit more consistency. So I think it's going to be one of those teams where you look back and be like, hey, you remember Jack Beer? And we're just like, like what? It's going to be like
yeah.
a Sporkle answer, like
So everybody sitting
who?
around a bonfire with their beer and
Yeah,
be like, let's name random players from LSC.
yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, that guy, yeah, he played a few matches anyway. So I like the signing. I agree with Jessica. Let's score some goals, but like, can we go a little bit of time without having roster turnover? We'll see.
Yeah.
I think it just kind of gives like this weird vibe, like thinking about everything you guys said, like it's almost as if how like sometimes you make plans but really like you wish that another set of plans had kind of like panned out, so you kind of make backup plans. You're like, we'll go with this, but then it turns out you could actually have gone with your first choice of plans, and then you're like, do I cancel on like the new set of plans so I can do what I really want to do, or do I carry through? I feel like that's what we do with players. I feel like we're like, here's our big plan. And then it's like, but there's a hang up. And they're like, okay, well, let's get somebody in until we can have actually what we want. And then it's a bummer. You know what I mean? Because I understand sports, there's the turnover, there's kind of like tweaking, but it almost makes them feel too disposable, especially when you're trying to like have a club that feels community focused and community built. Part of you being a community club is that the players have to feel like they're part of the community too. They can't feel
Right.
like some weird like phantom arm. You know what I mean? It has to be like they are attached to who we are. They understand our city because they're here long enough to understand our city and grow a love for it, versus kind of be passing through and then doing the good Boy Scout thing of being like, I will show up to an event because that is good, but then they really don't truly have that deeper connection. And I feel like that's kind of like what we dug ourselves into, is doing that and being like, well, sorry, you were a good placeholder, but peace out. So as you guys kind of alluded to, I worry at like, okay, well, was somebody a placeholder on the squad, and who's the placeholder? And now that we have Forster Ajago, are they going to be gone? And the other tricky thing with that too is I feel like we've got a lot of players that we're leaning on that are loans, and that's cool. But what happens if they get pulled back? Or what happens if that loan ends at the end of this year and all these players that we leaned on and we were like, okay, they were our core, their parent clubs are like, well, no, you can't have them back. They did great with you guys and we want them back now. And we're not willing to, deal with you wanting them from us, and I know that wouldn't happen with every player, but if they're not on contract exclusively with us, but we're making them like the guy, and we have that happening, throughout our whole squad, our whole starting 11, you kind of end up in a little bit of a slippery slope, in my opinion. It's a lot of mystery and around this building, and I just hope that we can kind of get something a little bit more concrete. It would do really well for us if, and this might be a plan because it's probably not going to come to fruition until the end of the season after everybody sees how things go. But if, some of these players, say Kieran Sargent, obviously been balling out for us, and everybody's joked about like, oh man, we got to hide him from Houston. What if they find out that he's doing good and they try and take him away? I just hope that our club is prepared that if we have people that are really playing that well, to lock them down. And I'm not saying like break the bank for one player. Obviously you got to consider a lot of factors, but it's just, I don't know. I'm very excited for Forster to be here, though. I think that he's somebody that gives us another option, obviously, and we'll probably get into this here in a second when we talk about the match. Goal scoring has been a weird struggle for us. I feel like we have all these really talented players, and they like are doing these crazy, flashy plays that I'm like, this is definitely going to be a goal, and then it's just like right off target, like just barely. Mm-hmm. It's not like we're like sending it to the moon, but it's never quite where you want it to be, or it's like right at the keeper, even though it was a really cool play and a really nice, header or a really nice kick. The keeper's always just right there in front of it. And you're like, and it's not saying that they can't score goals, but it doesn't necessarily hurt to try and see if something different can work.
So, I completely agree with everything that's been said so far. I feel like we need to let the dust settle before we kick it back up again. And
I see what you did there, soccer.
Yeah. But kind of touching on what you said, Tyler, is I feel like part of bringing these people in too is almost to bring another edge of competition with the players. Like maybe so it makes me wonder if in the back end it's like, okay, not quite pinning them on each other, but trying to add an extra edge of like competitiveness of like, oh, if you want to keep your spot, you have to really fight for it and prove it. Because we're bringing all these fresh people in. But then at the same time, I feel like it devalues the people that we do have. And rather than giving them the opportunity to really shine, it's like they're kind of having to constantly prove their worth, it seems, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I definitely would. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how things like pan out once he's actually like in the mix. I mean, he may already be, probably already is. He wasn't as of the last game, which is like this was announced before that. So I don't know. I'm really, really curious to see where we go from here, and if we start seeing more of him. He's not like the newest. I mean, we have Hugo. Hugo just was brought in. He can play striker, and we haven't seen a whole lot of him. I mean, a couple of appearances here and there. So sometimes it just kind of feels like we're throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And, it's can something stick?
Yeah, it's terrible.
I mean, if they need to borrow my toddler, they can make it work. You know what I mean? He's great at throwing things against the wall and making a mess.
Like we said last time, it's uncooked spaghetti, so it's just bouncing off the wall.
It's right. Yes. See, that is like the best analogy. I'm glad that made it come back. My spaghetti. Yeah. It truly is, though. And I don't know. Maybe this is the final piece. Maybe. I don't know. Like I just want us to try and get something rolling. And see some goals. We fixed the defensive kind of woes there for a bit and started feeling good. And now it's like, but now we can't score goals. Can we score some goals and do the defensive thing? Can we do both at the same time? And that's what we saw in this recent game. That was a good segue, wasn't it? It was like whoosh, right in. So this game is our first foray into the Jaeger Cup for this year. USL Championship is mixed in with League One, so it's kind of crazier than it was before. You still have your groups. You don't necessarily play everybody in the group. We have like the group of death, in my opinion. We have the group of death, and I will fight somebody if they say we don't. Like, you're just being a hater and like making stuff up if you're like, my group was tougher. No, it is not. Like, let's be honest, with the form Loudon is on, and then having Lou City, and like, just no, it's clearly us. So this game, I felt was like, oh, there's a lot of tension. Not league play, so it wasn't super bad, but still, I'm like, man, I want us to like get off on the right foot for this, especially against a team like Loudon. If we can pull off a win, even if it's like a PK win, getting 2 points, that's cool too. I think that's a great start to these things. I don't know about you guys, but I felt like we played pretty well for that entire match against them. However, I'm going to be that guy. And like, I was actually talking to a few other fans that aren't even like crazed weirdos like us. Like, they're just like, we go to games and we enjoy our time and it's fun. But they were even pointing out, they're like, what is up with us this year and just having terrible, terrible calls against us? And I'm not trying to be like that person, but like, gosh, it seems like our home games especially, we've had like the worst like track of calls. And I'm like, what is happening? And before anybody's like, you can't just blame the refs. True. I 100% agree. We need to finish our chances. And we did not in this game, even though we had a million great ones, like that Nick Firmino chance. I was like, oh my gosh, how? It was just right to the side of the goal. We like watched it, and, like heard it smash into the boards. We were right there. And he's not the only one. There were lots of chances like that we should have capitalized on. But dang, like, let me give you an example. And I know you guys know about this example too. Michael Adedokin. Like, for whatever reason, this ref was just like, you're the one. It's you today. You know what I mean? Like, that first foul that he had outside of the box, got called for it. Okay, he might have clipped some heels. You got it, whatever. Then Loudon does the same exact foul to us on the opposite end of the field not 2 minutes later, and they just play on. And then Michael comes down. He gets tangled up with a Loudon player, and then he gets a yellow. And I'm like, that was like a kind of like a 50-50 tangle up type situation. It wasn't like he was pushing the guy over. But then there were a bunch of calls throughout the match that were just like that, where it was like, wait a second. Like, how was that enough to stop play? Like, how are you not calling these things on Loudon? Like, why is it just one-sided here? It felt that way. And I try and recognize my bias. I do. But I don't know. Am I being biased? Am I just being like a crazed weirdo about this?
No, like I 1,000% agree with you, and I've said it before. Like very early on when I first, joined with you, Tyler, being on the podcast, I said I don't want to be a guy who talks about the refs on a podcast.
Yeah,
but it just like you can't help it sometimes, and for some reason in this game, no matter what we did, it felt like we were going to lose. Like, no matter how hard we fought, even though it felt like we could have won and we had so many good chances, that we were just destined to lose because the ref was interfering in that manner. You know what I mean? And it obviously goes to the whole crux of this, right?
Yes.
The stoppage time, where 3 minutes of stoppage time. We're way past it. We're way past
3
it.
3 plus 3 plus 3.
Yeah.
Like,
and and then the goal comes off that set piece, right? And it's just like, of course that would happen. Like, we just sat there in silence, Tyler. You and I didn't even say anything.
Nobody in the stadium did.
We just like, because we knew that it was going to happen. Like, I didn't like worry about the set piece because I knew, I was like, oh, that they're going to score off the set piece. Like, I just wasn't,
that's us.
Like, I just knew it was going to happen because that's just, it was destined to happen.
Well, and it was like they were determined to give Loudon as many chances as possible. They're like, I know we said 3 minutes, but can we just go a little longer until you guys do something where we can call a foul in a dangerous spot so we can just finish this off, because we really don't want to stay for PKs. Like,
yeah, I missed this one due to some festivities and other
running
family
half
in town.
marathons.
Yeah, I was still running. It started at 7 a.m. and I was still out there.
It's the slowest half marathon ever.
They
and
closed
he
the
set a
course.
PR
Like,
too.
Come on, buddy.
I didn't say how slow my other ones were. I'm still running my first one. Actually, I didn't even finish it.
He's moving his feet
right
now.
I just remember texting. I just texted your group, like, or our group, like, something about. I think I just put maybe like the
You were like
90th
90
minute
plus
or
7? Yeah.
90 plus 7 question mark or something, and it just seemed like I needed some context of what happened, but I also kind of like knew exactly what happened, even though I didn't see anything. And so I was like, yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. It feels like we're a snake bitten club. I don't want to be I don't want to be like Dylan said, the one that's just over here being whiny and boo-hooing. I mean, I was always taught as a kid, refs don't beat good teams. That's what my dad would always tell me. And as much as it made me mad when I would lose a little league game because of a referee, in my opinion, or an umpire, in my opinion, like, he would tell me that over and over. And I believe that. I really do as I've gotten older. But it's still like, I wasn't at this match, but I was at the Monterey, match before, and Indy 11. It just felt like, it's just kind of frustrating. One thing I always think about, though, and this goes way back to like literally the first, this is probably the One Knox match, like our inaugural match ever, in 2023. And I'm on they do broadcast production calls every like Wednesday before a Saturday match, right? And it's the play-by-play guy, and it's the producer, and they just get on the phone with the head coach. And I'll never forget this guy. Of course, this was League One, not championship, but the guy, and I don't remember who it is, and even if I did, I probably wouldn't want to say it out loud who it was, but the guy had worked with Stocks before, Sam Stockley, who was the head coach at the time. And so they went way back or whatever. And so we're chatting on the phone, about the match. And he goes, Stocks, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something right now. The referees at USL League One are awful. He's like, you've got experience at the college level. They're going to make you so mad, when you consider these are supposed to be professionals. And so he said that, like, that's what the broadcast, play-by-play guy brought up in week 1 of our inaugural season. And you're just like, oh, cool. I love hearing that. And it's like,
right.
Nobody's perfect. Everybody's at this level for a different reason. Whether you're on your way up, on your way down, or whether this is just where you belong. But it is really frustrating when you have officials that, can kind of take over in a sense. And so, and again, that's, more of just a one-time story. I'm not saying that, again, that was also 2+ years ago, but it just goes to show you that it seems like it's been maybe an issue longer than, even us just griping about it here in a podcast. So for what it's worth.
I have a question. Is it just recency bias? Does it seem like we're getting calls like worse now than previous years? Like, it seems like actively against us more so than in previous years, because I feel that way, and I don't know if that's just recency bias.
The thing that immediately comes to mind with me in that is that we've put ourselves in better positions in matches, and so it feels like every call maybe has more on the line or more like impactful. Whereas, like, in the years past, if we're losing a match, or if we're, like if we're down by 2 goals or 3 goals, and we're so far down the table already, like now it feels like for the first time we're actually kind of, controlling our own destiny in a sense. And so maybe each bad call just feels like it's more impactful in the overall big picture, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'd agree with that. It just, it's so hard to try and like express your feelings on these things without coming across as one of those people that's like, those refs. But it's just true. Like, I don't know. And then like this particular like reffing crew, it just felt very like showy. And like, all right, I'm going to go up here and have like a 5-minute conversation with them and point a lot and then pretend to chuckle. And then
lots of smiling.
Like, yes. And it's like, our players aren't chuckling though. It's like, the stuff with Adedokun aside, like for instance, Corey Burke, lots of conversations with him and like stuff that I'm like, why are you having a conversation with him? It's like that one cross that came flying in and their keeper went to dive for it and Burke slid in, didn't hit him or anything. He just slid in to try and like knock the goal in and he was like booking it. Like that slide was crazy. But then afterwards, the ref's having this big old talk with him and it clearly was about like his play. And I don't know if it was that particular play or just other things she was seeing, but I'm like, why are our players having so many like talking tos? Because I feel one thing I'm proud about with our team, I don't feel like we're a team that flops like a lot of these other teams.
No.
Agreed.
I think we've maybe played one team this season at home where I was like, you know what? They're not flopping. They're like actually going toe to toe with us. And I respect that. And you have to forgive me because my brain is not remembering who it was because I should remember because I was like,
think it
hey,
was
this
Monterey.
is good. I think it
It was
might have
not
been
Indy
Monterey.
11.
No,
Yeah,
it was not Indy 11.
11.
No, I think it might have been Monterey. And because I was
Vegas
like, I
was the
respect
worst.
this. Like, yes. And it's like all these other teams that are just like falling all over the place and the refs are
Yeah.
eating it up. And then somebody will come up and headbutt Corey Burke in the face. And they're like, dude, you're 6'4". You just got to eat that. You know what I mean? It's like, why is there just this weird disconnect? And like, and I don't think we're an aggressive team. Like, and you know what I mean? Like in a dangerous way. I don't feel like our like players are going around like yanking on jerseys and then flinging people around and like slide tackling studs up through people. It's just, we're playing like we're a strong group of players that are trying to like actively get the job done and not adding any extra to it. Yet every 5 seconds we're paying for it.
Marcus Epps got put in an arm bar at one point.
Oh yeah.
And then
not a call.
And then a foul was called on one of our players. And
Yes.
then, on a separate occasion, this was late on a separate late occasion in the game, right? Adedokin went down, and a player on their team went down, and the ref went over and called
Izios.
for their team, but didn't even go and check on our player.
She just kind of glanced over at him and was like, "Oh, it's fine." And I'm like, "Look, I know you hate Michael Adedokin, but like, could you like chill out?" Actually, I saw a fan. I can't remember what team they support. They tried to say that's the reason why we had like almost 4 minutes of added time for that little like minute and a half deal. 2 minutes.
There was not enough other stoppage time to call for 4 additional minutes.
No,
that made me so mad. And I think what I feel like I kind of zoned out just because we were having so much conversation about, okay, like what do we do? Like how do the talk about the PKs, because we're like, okay, this is going to end in a draw. They're going to blow the whistle any minute. And so I didn't realize just how much time had passed. And then that goal happened. And I'm like, and so I looked at the clock. I'm like, how are we at 97 minutes? Like it doesn't make any sense.
No, it was just a tough one all around. It just seemed like things were not clicking the way they should. And I don't know, like Kyle, you mentioned the old saying, and like we should be able to rise above a lot of these things, but man, it's hard. Like it's hard whenever you get like all these calls against you and you can't get any momentum, and just every little thing you do is putting you in trouble. Like I got so scared that Adedokin was going to get another yellow like later on in the game in the second half, like all the way midfield, which we all talked about this. We have no idea why we kept him in after halftime when he was already on a yellow, and the ref was clearly having multiple conversations with him even after that yellow. Like he should have definitely been put on the bench just to save him. I'm not saying he was doing bad. I'm just saying like she was watching him like a hawk. So every little thing he did, I don't know how he snuck by without getting a second yellow, because I thought for sure she was going to lock it down. And I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. I would have really, like, I want him on the field. I think he's an awesome player, and I think he plays super hard. But in that particular game on a yellow, knowing the situation with the ref, I think he definitely should have been subbed out like halftime to save him. Because, man, how much of a bummer would that have been for him to get on a red and then us go to Louisville and not have him as an option?
I'm thankful that VAR does not exist at this level, because like these are the type of refs that would just eat that up. They'd be going to the monitor for everything, and these matches would take forever. That's where it's almost like, hamming it up a little bit. Like, just no one's there to watch you. You know what I mean? Like, we all paid tickets to watch soccer, not referees. And so
Yes.
that's where I can get a little bit like, that's where I think a lot of fans can get a little bit turned off, where it's like, you know, it's fine to call a match tight or loose. Just be consistent and,
Yes.
don't go like over the top. Like, we shouldn't know your name. We shouldn't be like, noticing you in the middle of your play. Just,
Yes.
I don't know. It's a bummer. So I've unfortunately kind of just come to expect a little bit of that. But this year it has felt like it's cost us a little bit more.
Yeah.
I agree.
Playing wise, we need to finish our chances.
Yeah.
Like we need to take more chances too. We need to just like shoot more. I think like Marcus was having a really good game. And he was getting a lot of he's beating defenders and he was putting some good crosses in and creating some good chances for us. I think we gotta like lean on those wings,
Yeah.
whether it's Sargent or Epps or Goldthorpe, any one of those guys, lean on that and just kind of take chances, make crosses, do something,
Yeah.
I've noticed one thing, like from where we sit, you have a really good view of this because we're at least seeing like a whole half's worth of our shots or lack thereof, whatever it might be. I think we're doing better about taking shots since we last were like, oh, are we
Yes.
taking shots? But the one area that we just refuse to take a shot is from outside the box right up the middle. And I know that can get kind of congested and you have to be really, really quick and just being like, all right, I'm going to be decisive. But it's like our guys that get the ball there, they'll like look at the goal and then immediately be like, never mind, and then start looking out to the wings. And it's like,
where
I get it.
Altez would shoot and score.
Yes, exactly. Like where if we had like an Altez, like he would just have shot that thing. He would have been like, I'm at the top of the box, let's let it rip. And my problem with us like refusing to do that, except for maybe like once or twice a game, is I know it's congested, but at the same time, those players from the other team are also blocking the keeper's view. So like, why not just like see what you can do? See if you can just slot it right through. Worst that happens, keeper gets a hold of it or you miss, like whatever. But like maybe try and keep them guessing so that way it's just not always okay. They're just going to send it in from the outside and then try and have somebody crash. Take some of those top of the box shots and see what goes down.
For sure. And I think something that has I feel like is a common theme with the games so far is like going against Monterey Bay at the top of the table, Loudoun at the top of the table, San Antonio at the top of the table. I feel like we've been able to keep up with them pretty well. But and I know we have our issues with the reffing, but like again, like Dylan said, we're not following through on our chances or we're not taking them. So I think being able to, so there's definitely a disconnect there too. So, but I feel like in general, when we've gone into these games where the teams are at the top of the table, my thinking is like, it's going to be a challenge, but I think we'll be able to keep up.
Yeah. And I think we've done that in a lot of games. I agree with you 100%. It's just, what could be, you know what I mean? And then we could really go all day about what could be with a lot of these things. And, I've even had some people be like, well, like, I don't feel like we're doing much better than we have in previous seasons at this point. Like, shouldn't we be kind of just like, oh, this sucks. Like, what do we do now? Like fair, but also like we're at a higher level. And I know everybody, that's tuned into USL is like, there's not that huge of a gap between League One and Championship, but there is when you talk about the top teams. And we've been having to battle some of the top teams here recently. Yeah. And so, as much as I'm like, oh my gosh, like these results, they're killing me. I will say, I feel like at this point, I still feel like there are some, circumstances that have to be taken into account, such as the heightened level of competition, such as, like Kyle, you mentioned it, the reffing seems to have been a little bit more impactful on like the outcome on some of our things that, we've gotten ourselves into. And it's just, I still think that we have a team that can do this. It's just we really need to kind of iron some of these things out because, right now I feel like it almost mirrors a little bit of like last season, how we had all these like amazing attacking players we brought in, but then we struggled for goals a little bit more often than we would like. And I feel like we have some amazing attacking players this year. And here we are struggling for goals more often than we would like. And, we'll get our legs under us. I don't want us to get our legs under us so late that we're, in a fight for, you know what I mean? Like just to be like, we didn't get the wooden spoon like we've had to do in the past. So, I don't know,
Yeah,
man. Sorry, Kyle, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's fair to like look at the schedule. I know it's kind of lame sometimes, but to like look at the schedule and be like, look, I guess, find results in the schedule and be like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And like, if you're people really like when I bring basketball or other sports, like, analogies into this podcast, but like, you look at a team, if they're like heading into the NBA playoffs or whatever, the NFL, like if you look at a team, you're like, oh, they finished the season like 15-5, like they're on a tear. But then you look at the schedule and you're like, oh, 12 of their wins came against teams that were tanking, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, like a lot of the stuff kind of makes sense. And so like you have these profiles of these teams. I think people just take it in a vacuum, but it's like really like, no, if you actually like break down the schedule, it actually kind of makes sense. And Lexington is in a tough swing right now, and there's still a few more matches to get out of it, honestly. And so, not to try to make excuses, but I think another part of why it's so frustrating is because this team is one that has like the statistical profile of a team that should be scoring more, right? Like tops in the league in, total corners, one of the top teams in, in passes, total passes, accurate passes, crosses, like all of these like attack minded, stats that you look at. Obviously a team that likes playing in possession, third most possession in the league too. So like, it just seems like all of these factors would lead to a team that's higher scoring. And it just, it's started out looking promising, and then for whatever reason, it's kind of hit a bit of a road bump. But I think there's a little bit of fairness to look at the schedule and, and see the teams that are on there, and you can at least pull a little bit from that.
And it's like Jessica had mentioned too, I feel like we've done pretty good going toe to toe with a lot of these tougher teams. Like, I know we've had our slip ups and had a couple games slip away from us that we were just like, oh my gosh, like I thought we had that. But at the same time, I feel like if you were to just like look at our play style, you'd be like, okay, I feel pretty good about what we're putting on the field. For instance, Kyle, you mentioned possession, like particularly like winning the ball back to maintain that possession. We don't do like the thing where we're just like, let's sit back and see how many times they can shoot at us, and then we'll just kind of figure it out from there. Like the moment they take the ball from us, we are battling to snatch it back, and a lot of times we get it at midfield or higher, and then we're back into it. And I think that that's really refreshing to see, because we have, all the old heads, right, that have been around for a long time. We are so used to like, okay, well, let's like kind of pull back and we'll do a low block, and then we'll just absorb pressure, and that pressure ends up being too much. And I don't think that that's in this team's DNA this year, which I think helps also make you feel a little bit more like, okay, we're not just sitting there kind of weathering the storm in these matches. We are trying to be the storm. It just hasn't gone our way as much as we would prefer. So, I think the jury's still out on like if we're going to like our traditional panic button type of thing. I think I just don't think that we're quite there yet, just because of these other factors. Each year is different. I mean, clearly everything is different about this year, truly, in the sense, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. And we got Lou City coming up Thursday for our newly named Commonwealth Cup. So before we get into the game, how do we feel about the name? There are mixed reactions about it being called the Commonwealth Cup and about it being chosen by the team /league.
I don't mind it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the mindset, like I also don't like that it was named for us. Like I kind of like things, I kind of want it to be natural. I want to build those natural rivalries too and all. So it would have been cool to have like a natural name come about it, or, just have like the fans decide, have like the supporters, between both clubs decide, what it would be instead of kind of deciding for us.
It seems like it was like the first choice that people thought of, and they're like, "All right, that's it. Like we're the short meeting, we're good."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, of course, it's the Commonwealth Cup. I'm
Yeah.
surprised it hasn't been taken already. Like,
Right.
it just, not a ton of creativity. I'll just put it that way. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Super safe. I'm surprised it's not already a thing for some other sport, or
Yeah.
matchup or rivalry or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I guess you can't really be mad at it, but I don't know if it's really going above and beyond.
Yeah, I feel like I am also of the mindset like fans should have done it. I think maybe the league also kind of looked at it from the sense of like, you know, how you have the rivalry with Indy and Lou City and their insane name that they have for it with the traffic cone. Like, I can't even remember the full name. It's some ridiculously long, amazing, horrible masterpiece. But I think, like, from a sense of you have a budding club like Lexington Sporting Club that's trying to pull in fans, and you come up to them like, hey, here's this really wacky name that you have no idea the context of it, and it's kind of out there. Then like some fans are like, okay, man, whatever. I'm just gonna go get this pretzel real quick and get my seat. So I think in a sense, safe is okay from that viewpoint, but organic is best. Organic is best for just like truly getting buy-in from people. And I kind of wish we had that. Although I will say we'll have that opportunity with like another just natural organic rival, because if we're being honest, like I know people could say like, okay, Lou City is an organic rival. It's not that organic of a rival. You know what I mean? There's not really a whole lot to say like, oh yeah, this just happened because of our history. Well, yes, between UK and U of L, sure. But sometimes, and I've seen a couple other people say this, sometimes I kind of like for us to divorce ourselves from that rivalry and let it just kind of be its own thing. Because it's like, I'm not a big UK guy. It's like, I don't hate UK. Like, I'll watch the games and stuff, but I'm not sitting here being like, you know what would be amazing if U of L just fell into a chasm. Like, it's kind of weird, but I do hope that we have some other organic things that come up with other teams. And just because the league / teams, right, named this one the Commonwealth Cup, I don't think it really means that like supporters groups between the two clubs can't come up with something different. I think that would be cool. I don't think it has to be an either or, in my opinion. If you want it to be something unique and come together, Railbirds, Coopers, or one of the other many supporters groups that Lou City has, do it. Make something cool, random. But that's just kind of my 2 cents.
The Derby.
The Derby. It sounds like a Swedish chef type of situation. Derby. It's like, what are you talking about, man?
Or Bourbon Derby. I don't know.
Bourbon Derby.
I'm just making.
Derby, bourbon,
taking Kentucky
Derby
words and putting them together.
Yes, that's what it'll be. Just a list of Kentucky things all in a line.
I mean,
horseshoe, bourbon, track, barrel, extravaganza, soccer,
hot brown,
Red River Gorge. I don't know. Just like we'll just put it all in there, and then it'll just be one long acronym. We'll beat out the Lou City Indy one. We'll make our own that's like 4 times as long, and everybody will be like, I have no clue what this stands for. And we'll just have to like write it down in pamphlets and hand them out to people at games. Like, here, just so you know. Like, I don't want this trash. I thought this was a coupon for a free beer. But I don't know. Call it what you want.
The scarf they made is pretty cool, though.
It is a cool scarf. A cool scarf. I saw a few people hating on it, and I was like, this is a sweet scarf. I saw it in person whenever you bought it, and I was like, yes. I'm spending money now. I am going to spend money. Like it's so pretty in person.
Yeah. I feel bad though. Like I almost was like, well, can I buy the scarf? I can't make it to the game on Thursday, but I know it's kind of like we're gonna be playing against them again. So I was like, yeah.
It's all good.
It's cool. I want another scarf.
Does Thursday's match count for this Commonwealth Cup?
Yeah, I think so.
It does.
That's how they were advertising it. Yeah.
I thought I was seeing it was like for the July match or whenever like the next.
Which there is like
matches.
an actual cup, right? Didn't they say there's an actual cup for this? Like
Okay, never
actual...
mind. It does say, Commonwealth Cup next match, May 1st. Okay, that makes sense. Because I was like, I feel like the first piece of, promotion, I guess, for it, I saw that it just had like the July date on it, but
Right.
that was just me just scrolling Twitter, not paying attention to details.
That's okay. It's all good.
We solved it.
You solved it. I'm excited for this matchup though, because it's so funny how much of a crossover we have between Lou City and Lexington fans. Of course, you have like your outliers for each team that are like, never, I hate them. But there's like a pretty heavy crossover between the two. So I think that'll make it for a really fun, I hope, a really fun away day. Either or, whether you're going to Louisville or, they're coming here. I think it'll be exciting to kind of see how that all plays out and, see what allegiance everybody goes for. Maybe we'll see somebody with one of those abomination half and half jerseys and it'll be half Lexington and half Lou City. And then nobody sits by them.
The Brady Quinn, AJ Hawk jersey.
Yes.
Kyle knows what I'm talking about. Kyle.
Yeah.
Knows what I'm talking
Yeah. That'll be what
Yes.
it is.
Yeah, I think it was like
perfect.
AJ Hawk's mom, maybe, because
No,
Brady
no.
Quinn married.
No, it was Brady Quinn's sister who is married to AJ Hawk.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew. Yeah, so one of those.
Yeah.
House divided.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it'll be. That all this matchup will be house divided, except it'll just be individual people divided. I think it'll be a fun time. I think that this will be a really, really tough one again for us, especially going to Lynn Family Stadium. We talked about having to face off against teams that are on a tear and doing their thing. Lou City is still doing their thing. Although defensively, we've been pretty sound here lately. So I don't know about you guys. I kind of feel like our best bet is that our defense keeps performing as good as they have been. And just kind of weather Louisville and then see if we can sneak in a goal or two.
I wanted to bring up, I'm glad you brought it back to defense. Ketterer, he had really amazing saves.
Oh my gosh.
He had a great game. Like,
yes. Oh man.
If we didn't lose, I would have had him as my man of the match because he was spectacular. He had acrobatic saves. He looked like a superhero out there.
Yes.
100%.
The foot save and then the one where he just gets his paw up there and smacks it away as he's diving. And I was like, how did he do that? How did he manage to still get his hand there as his whole body is moving the other direction? Those are some sweet saves. Magic. That's what it was.
Ketterer magic.
Ketterer magic. Man, it was so good. It was phenomenal. Phenomenal game from him.
Is
better. Yeah. Love it. Love the chance. I don't know. Like, what do you guys feel about Lou City? Feeling good, bad, in the middle, indifferent, out different, around different? Oh, okay. Sure. Dylan's giving us the sideways thumb.
Indifferent.
Maybe, possibly. I think it's doable to win. If I'm really being honest about what my gut says, a draw is what I'm thinking is like a true possibility for us in this one. Not because I don't believe in our team, but because right now 5 games with only 1 goal, we got to figure out our goal scoring. I'm not so freaked out by our defense. I think our defense makes me feel good, feel all warm and cozy inside thinking about what they do on the pitch. But to win, you got to score goals. And right now, our formula is a little cracked. It's something's not quite working right. We're in the lab and somebody keeps breaking my beakers and now I can't do my science experiment. So I don't know. You like my analogies, whatever. I don't know. I think that a draw would be a pretty good result out of this one. And then if we can pull off a win and start feeling better about our goal scoring, then we kind of take it from there. It's just really, really tough whenever you're trying to work out the kinks in your team and the things that you're like, this is just not happening. And then they're like, okay, but why don't you play one of the best teams in the history of the league? Can you do that? Can you figure out your goal scoring against them? Can you do this, please? And it's like, sure. I'll give it a good old college try. So I don't know. I'm excited about it. I know none of us get to go, right? Nobody. So we need people cheering extra hard there. I'm coaching in a game of my own that night. I'm so bummed I won't be able to be there, but got to do it for the kids.
It went pretty well for you last time that you were coaching and the three of us were watching.
Yes. Yeah, it went amazing. I loved
The
having
Columbus
70
crew.
70 something text messages on my phone and a bunch of notifications on like all the different social media apps. And I'm like, either this is really good or this is really bad. I'm not sure which. And it's really bad. So I'm just like sitting in there in the parking lot after the game at 9:00 at night. And I'm like, oh, that happened. And that too. It's just not great. Not great. Hopefully luck holds out though. All right. Maybe win. We'll see. Okay. We're gonna save. We had a couple of questions, but we'll save them. I promise. If you put in a question, we're gonna get that at some point. But time is getting kind of tight on us here, and we still got to talk a little bit about the Super League, our match that happened against Dallas, our rematch against the team that keeps throttling every team in the league. And then, yeah, we had a little bit of hope. So let's get into this. Kyle, is this where you do your thing?
Yeah, this is where I disappear like the meme of the guy who
to finish your marathon. He's actually been slowly walking out of frame this whole time while he's running his marathon. It's just been very like minute, so nobody's noticed.
My Garmin watch asked like, "Are you okay?" Like it's like you're still.
Yeah. It's like, are you alive, Kyle?
Yeah,
he's alive. He's good.
No movement detected. No, enjoy the rest of the podcast. It's great chatting with you all as always. And yeah. Come on, you green. Oh, I don't want to. That's your line.
Now everybody just stop listening, Kyle. Everybody just literally stop.
That must have been the end.
You ruined it all. Wait, it's not like the really loud music. Everybody's like,
yeah.
So like, the gift of the kid getting blown away.
Yeah. All right.
All right, dude.
Adios, amigos.
Till later.
Bye.
All right, let's get into the Super League game. Okay. Oh my gosh, I was given a glimmer of hope. That Hannah White goal was sick.
It was really good.
Like just her control to make that happen.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I know we were down a goal, but now we clawed one back. This is going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We're all right. Like even if we just finish this out 1-1 against Dallas, that's solid. Let's go for it. And then my heart ripped out.
We did equalizer for all of like less than a minute.
Yes. Did you guys notice that this was like a horrible weekend where they made us face off against two Pegasi and they trampled us? Like what is
make up that plural?
Is that not plural for Pegasus? Is it Pegasi?
I don't know.
It sounds like it should be. It sounds right, doesn't it? It sounds right though. Pegasus is yeah. Just keep adding S's and then it'll get it right. That's what we'll do. But man, what a cursed weekend to go against weird winged horses that are fictional and don't even exist. So why do you even like them? Okay. I don't know. Did you guys have be honest? Did you have like a moment where you're like, okay, we got this goal back after they scored on us, and like because I know we were at the game, the first score, and we were just like, oh no, they already got one on us. We were leaving the stadium, Jessica. We were walking out, and then we got the score update, and we were like, what the heck? Did you guys start to feel like a little bit like, okay,
there was a glimmer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty crazy, and you guys stayed and did the interview stuff. I ran home immediately, so I didn't miss a single minute of the game, but I missed like a little bit, right? And
fake fan,
yeah,
Plastic.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Sorry, go ahead, Dylan.
No, but yeah, sorry, you threw me off hardcore.
My bad.
No.
You ran home.
Yeah, sorry, I gotta stop.
I ran home, and
Kyle's gone.
I felt like I felt like the beginning of the match was like, okay, we started out pretty all right. Then the goal let up, and I was like, all right. Then we got the goal back. It totally felt like we got the the momentum. It felt like I was ready to buy in, like so hardcore.
Yeah.
I was like so ready. I was like, all right, we can do this. And then immediately after, it was like immediately
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, it was just so soul crushing.
Yeah.
I was still cheering when it happened. I was like,
Completely.
yeah, we got a goal. And they're like, and then Dallas scored. And I was like, no.
I completely agree. Like I would like the excitement I felt just was completely gone. And I was like, well, there you go. Like,
Yes.
it was depressing. Well,
Yeah.
and what's frustrating is I rewatched the game, and the first goal that Dallas got was just the silliest mistake on our part of Perez doing her pass back to Cox, and it's I feel like that's my biggest pet peeve is that we do that so much. We've gotten an own goal from Perez doing a pass back to Skiba and Skiba not expecting it. This one, I think, was the same thing because the Dallas girl beat Cox to the ball and just, knocked it in. And like, I feel like it's a crutch of ours, and it's almost like the other teams are like, hey, they do this a lot, so be ready and follow the ball because you'll score. Like,
yeah.
Oh, so frustrating.
And that's what like stinks is because I think I was in a especially foul mood because of the loud game.
Yes.
That just like I was already so mad.
Yeah.
And then I came home and I was like, we are losing. I'm watching. We got this. We'll be fine. And then we get that one. And then to see, yes, like us get taken out by silly mistakes. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes we shoot ourselves in the foot. And I don't know. I don't know what to do. It was really cool seeing some of our players back in the lineup. Like Shin was back in the mix.
Mhm.
Shout out to Natalie Higgins too.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
so psyched to see her make her debut. Like way back before the winter break, she had told me, she was like, I am going to be back before the season's over. I am determined to rehab. Hey, get back out on that field. And that is a hard thing to do when you undergo any type of injury, especially one of the magnitude that she had. And so just like thinking about like the willpower and like the work ethic and everything that went into making that possible, like that for me is like the biggest win out of the game is
Right.
seeing that, because you love it. You love to see players just overcome that type of stuff, especially within a season. Yeah, that's kind of wild to me that she had that happen in preseason and then she's already back. I say already, it's been a long journey, but still like playing a professional sport at a high level after that type of injury is kind of insane to me. So that was really, really cool to see. So there were moments that kept me being like, okay, this is great. I feel good about this stuff at least. The goal was awesome. I felt good about that. Seeing Natalie Higgins back in the mix, I felt great about that.
Mm-hmm.
I just did not feel great about yet
The rest of
again
it.
another team just doing as they will.
Yeah.
It just feels like that teams. I feel when I watch our games now, it's as if other teams already know. They already know. They look at us and they're like, "This is a win for us." And I feel like that's how they play. They
Mm.
play like that's a win. And I feel like for us, we're trying so hard, but there's just like this weird sense of predator prey on the field, and it's hard for us to get on the right side of it.
I feel like we have become a broken record, unfortunately,
Yeah.
at this point, where
Yes.
it's just, I think the chemistry, we have talent, we have no chemistry. And you can see it on the field. Like, we
Yeah.
have all these players that we really like, and it's so disappointing to see it not pan out when it comes game time.
Yeah. And I feel like it's very different than what we were talking about at the beginning of the season, where we felt like the girls were clicking and things
Mhm.
were like, okay, they're all playing for each other. Like we have some things to kind of work through, but it'll be okay. But they're like playing really fun, exciting soccer. And then at some point along the way, it kind of got a little bit bumpy. And now it's just, we're not even on the road right now. We're just, we drove our car into a river and we're like, why isn't this floating?
What I found funny listening to the broadcast and while I was watching the game was the announcers were so high on Maddie Parsons, and rightfully so, saying the same things that we've been saying on the podcast. So like, when she's on the field, she's gonna make things happen, and she does, and she's just so talented and still our leading goal scorer and everything. Like it still reigns true, and even in the game, she had some really nice moves. She beat 2 defenders at one point. Like it was such a nice move, and broken record, like you said, Jessica.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's getting difficult. I want us to have something to cheer about because we love this team. We absolutely love this team, but the window is closing super fast. We have 4 games left, 3 at home, which is nice because we at least get to see them out through the season here at the Stables. But it's not necessarily going to get easier. It's tough to see where things turn around at this point, and we've said this a million times. I do feel like the team is trying their best.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
Even with them trying their best, I feel like if I was in their situation, it'd be very demoralizing to just be out there giving it your all and then just the same thing happen over and over and over again. And then you come to the Stables and attendance just is not what it should be for them.
Right.
I'll say that I think that that's a factor, at least at home.
Yeah.
Right.
Like how would you feel going and then realizing you have a fraction of what your other half of the club is receiving, like a tiny fraction of it. It's just so undeserved. And and it wasn't even necessarily that, but they're like struggling and they're winning. People weren't coming before, which is sucky. I hate that.
Yeah.
Like I just wish I could like round up a bunch of people and be like, you're coming to the game with me. You are going to go and you're going to cheer on this team with me because they deserve it. They deserve to have your support. And like, I don't know. I don't know how to fix it. It just seems like, at this point it is what it is. And I'm really hoping for some things to cheer about to kind of finish off these last 4 games. We're getting ready to play against Spokane, like again. Like, and right now they're on this like crazy tear. What is it, like 8 games and 1 loss and 1 draw out of those 8? Everything else is a win. I think it's been 8. It's some ridiculous number compared to like their form from the first half of the season where it was like, man, they're okay. And now like they have like one of our coaches, our former coaches, leading the charge there, and they're just killing it. They're doing their thing.
Not to kick us while we're down, but DC beat Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Yep. And like we just who do we have left? I know we got Spokane coming up next, and then what? Tampa, yuck. Fort Lauderdale, yuck. DC, question mark. Finish on a high note.
Maybe.
And I just hate it for the players. I do
too. That's all I can really think about is the players because I care about them so much, and I want them to succeed so much. It's so hard, Yeah. And for the club, I just want them to be thinking more long-term in decisions, right now, and don't be short-sighted. Think long-term, start to build a core, have that core, lay over into next season. Like, just please, like some semblance of consistency. Because like if we have to rebuild next season, it's not going to work. Like it's not going to work. All the other teams are going to have a miles ahead of us,
Yeah. I am like so over team wipes. I'm so over. It's just like, And I know people are like, but at this level, there's lots of yes, there is lots of turnover at this level, but you should not be completely gutting your entire team every season on both sides. Like that's not just a well, we didn't have quite the right player. Like that's like a club issue. That is not
Systematic.
a coach. That is not a player. That is like a club issue. Like we are not making the right decisions, and I don't know anybody that can argue against that. Like
Mm-hmm.
we are not building something that is working if that is our answer again. And it's again, we said this last episode, it's hard not to think, are we having another club wipe? We keep doing them. And I hope we have some key pieces that stick around because they deserve to. And like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like there are just, players that it's like this is somebody we could build this all around and have like a spine to the team at least. But
Yeah.
I don't know what we're gonna do, and things keep going as they are. It's getting harder and harder for anybody to make a case for themselves. But at the same time, it's not that all the players are just sitting there walking around on the field. Like they're
Right.
still playing hard. It's just there's something deeper rooted in this whole system that's just not making it work.
It's it's like not a group of bad apples, right? It's the
Yeah,
whole tree is rotten.
yeah, yeah. The like apples trying to thrive on a tree that's dying. Like
Yeah, yes.
woodpeckers are picking it apart, and
Hmm.
like the apples are screaming, like please stop. Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and I just feel like as a club, like you said, Dylan, to reiterate, we have to take a long look at what we are going to do for the future and make the right decisions, not just like well, this is my third choice, or well, like this is fine, or well, this person said that they know this person and they've worked with them before. Like we have to cast a wide net in all spheres and build something really, really strong because we talk about wanting to have people come out to games, whether it be the men's side or the women's side. People are not going to support if we are not competent on the field. We don't have wins rolling in at least semi consistently. And if we don't have players that are there on more than a 1 year basis, that people can be like, that is the player that I come to watch play, or these are the
Yeah.
players I come to watch play. And I feel like we have players on this team that people feel that way about,
Mm-hmm.
but who knows what's going to happen. And, and that's the type of stuff that gets you through these slumps. We've said it before.
Yeah.
When you have a slump, if you have these players that people feel connected to, that'll at least keep some attendance rolling. It'll keep some interest rolling. And people won't just say, well, whatever. I went to one match one time and who cares? And then next year I went and then everybody was new and I didn't know who was who. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm, man, I don't know, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm staying as positive as I can. I'm saying that we can still have some success this season. It just might look very different than the success that we were hoping to have. Now we're kind of like moving the goalpost a little bit, and now it's like those little wins are going to hit a little different this time. It's still going to support every game, all game. I'm going to them all,
Yeah.
unless something else is
Yeah.
interfering with it, But the Spokane match it's going to be a test. It's going to be another one where like Spokane's licking their chops. They're thinking they're coming to our house. We can keep the streak rolling. We have to prove them wrong. We have to figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, I don't know what we're doing. You know what I mean?
I,
I don't
I,
know.
I it's just kind of crazy to me that we just keep trying the same like formation and tactics each time, and we're
Mm-hmm.
not like trying anything new. Like, what if we go to three backs? Like that would be cool. Or like five, with wing backs and everything. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's just stagnant, and we're just kind of just going through the motions of playing the game. And I don't feel like the players are doing that, like, because they're obviously going out and putting their effort and they're trying, like they obviously are making attempts to score and they are scoring goals, right? So I'm not saying anything about the players, but like tactically, what are we doing? Just going through the
Mm-hmm.
motions, and like the lineup, like the substitutions, they've always been kind of wonky, like the timing and like the amount of them. Yeah, like it's all just, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's it's already hard enough for the players to, play, on the field, and then they have to fight the other things, that are
Yeah.
not on the field. And
True.
I hate that for them because I genuinely love the players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, y'all. This is us. We are the dead horse, and we are the ones getting beaten up. So
It is a green horse.
A green horse. It's true. All we can do is support though, and still believe as long as we can. Season's coming to a close, and I hope we can pull something off. But time shall tell. All right, so this weekend, we don't have too much to really look
We don't have a
forward to in
game.
the sense of
We
like
don't have a
being
home
home.
game.
Yeah, like no home stuff. Because Thursday is the Lou City match for the men's side, and then we're talking what Saturday, right? Saturday we're gonna be out in Spokane for the women's side. So no stables, no stables. It's a little
Makes
weird.
me sad.
I know. It's really strange to not be
Yeah.
there. I don't know how I feel about it, but that's okay. That's all right. We'll get these wins. We'll get some points somehow, some way. That's my hope. Anywho, and
Or Saturday watch party, probably in that
that's
case.
true.
Yeah.
I bet there will be some watch party at Jack Brown's. I'm sure. I know it's been a minute since they've done one, but I think that's because of all the wonky scheduling. Because away games being the same time as home games or overlapping is kind of put a damper on the ability to be like, "Hey, come to Jack Brown's or go to the stables." And everybody's, "Well, I'm probably gonna go to the
Right.
stables." You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where people's minds are at. And it'll be a while before the men are home. Women are back home first after Spokane. Men have to go to Loudon after Louisville. So not only do we have to play, Louisville, we're gonna do a rematch with Loudon, who's still top team. So we got a road that we got to get through. We got to do something about this and kind of find our goal scoring mojo. It'll hopefully happen against Lou City. It'll happen against Lou City. It's not hopeful. It's gonna happen. It's what it's gonna be.
There we go.
No Waterboy reference. They just stared at me. Somebody out there listening, they're like, "I get it. It's Waterboy." Vicky Valancourt. I saw what you did there, Tyler. Dylan was gonna say something. What were you gonna say, Dylan? Nothing. Yeah, that you liked my reference.
Don't you put words in my mouth. Don't you put that evil on me,
Tom Cruise, put the flames out with your witchcraft. That's how I feel about our season. Put the flames out with your witchcraft, Tom Cruise. All right, guys, make sure support through watching it wherever you go to watch it, whether it be at home or out at Jack Brown's or somewhere that you enjoy getting together with other people. And then please surge back to the stables when the ladies return home. Remember, they're first to come back. So be there to support them to kind of finish off the season. They got 3 home games in a row. The men, once they're done with Loudon, they'll be back for a couple of home games. One against Tulsa. So we might even see Luke Stauffer back and we'll be able to say hello and goodbye at the same time in person. But otherwise, just make sure you guys are getting out there, checking out the team, telling your friends about it. Make sure you watch for all these promotions that keep happening so you can get some good price tickets and bring other people with you. And hopefully they get hooked and they keep coming back and we can just kind of grow this thing. Until next time, though, you know what it is. Come on, you Greens.